This video is brought to you by Skillshare.
Don't deny that I could use some company. All my friends say, honey, just let him be. Now your perfume stuck on my shirt, and there's an imprint left in my bed. I don't know about you, but put you first.
I'm also looking at my histogram so I can get like very good exposure. Ooh, that's beautiful. Let me even drop my ISO to, yeah, I think 100 is fine. Yeah, that's amazing. I'm shooting really wide, so I'm filling here with the frame.
I just want your time, oh, time. I need your time. 365, 24/7, I'll be fine. As long as you spend a little time. Just want your time.
Today, we are doing a natural light photo shoot. We are doing a harsh natural light photo shoot. Normally, this setup is done in the studio, but today I'm bringing the studio outside. We want to see if we can use the sun as our primary light source and capture very stunning images of Dorcas. So let me just go through the setup real quick. I'm using my canvas backdrop hand painted by Pixel 8, and we just draped these red fabrics around here to create this amazing looking dress. And I actually want to extend it so it looks like pretty long. So what I'm just using is a clamp to hold it in there. It's not a real dress, so we've done a lot of clamping and supporting just to get the whole structure and the dress looking good. And I just want to elongate it, so I'm just going to clip this in there.
24/7, I'll be fine. As long as you spend a little time. Oh, spend a little time. I need your time. Spend a little time,
Stunning. So currently my settings, if you're wondering, is 1/1600 f2.8 ISO 160, but I think I just want to do 1.4 for this and drop my ISO to 100 and increase my shutter speed. I'm also looking at my histogram so I can get like very good exposure. Ooh, that's beautiful. Let me even drop my ISO to, yeah, I think 100 is fine. Yeah, that's amazing. I'm shooting really wide, so I'm filling here with the frame and I'll crop in post to get like a very nice frame of Dorcas. And you can see the sun is like right behind me, and so the shadow is falling directly behind her and it's really making it look good. I'm loving it. I wanted to show you guys how I was able to move this image from looking like this to looking like this. You can see there's a lot of mood, and the colors are richer compared to this raw shot that we imported into Capture One. This is the raw file. This contains a couple of adjustments I made inside Capture One. You can see all the adjustments on the left hand side. That is everything I did onto the image. And let me just jump right into Photoshop so we can start talking about how I was able to put all of this together. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative people like you and me. Skillshare is ad-free, and so you're never distracted whilst you're exploring new skills. Let me start by saying that everyone needs this class from Andre Laro called Art Directing Photography, delivering a successful photo shoot for your company. I felt it would be interesting for me to look into this class when I saw it, but more importantly, share this class with my friends, aka you guys. In this class, I got to really understand, I had an idea, but I really got to understand and appreciate how photography really impacts my stakeholders. Andre mentioned how when he's working for a client, his project affects a number of people like the product designer, web designer, and even the content marketing lead. He explained how, for example, his photography was used by the product designer for things that clients will physically touch and experience, or how the content marketing team uses his photography to get more customers into the funnel. And it's really the way he explained these aspects in detail that really made me appreciate how dense photography is or can be depending on the stakeholders involved. One other thing he touched on that was really impactful was that finding stakeholders actually helps you as a photographer figure out effective strategies to utilize your visuals so you can focus on things that are helpful to you and the company. For example, knowing when to capture detailed product shots, as those will go over packaging and even help clients see how that product is going to impact their life, versus capturing wider or lifestyle images for social in order to draw customers in. In order to properly understand this and how it works, he explains in detail how to put a guided mood board and shortlist together and how they can effectively help you communicate with stakeholders. So, if you're a photographer and you really want to improve on working with clients and even make your brand look more responsible and serious, then I really will recommend that you take this class. And you can do so by joining Skillshare and becoming a member today. They're always launching new premium classes every single week, and so there's always something new for you to discover. If you're interested in checking Skillshare out, then kindly use the link in my description box, because the first 1,000 of you, my friends, who use the link in my description box get a full 1-month free trial of Skillshare. But after that, sticking to that premium plan does not dig a hole in your pocket. I will always advise that you use your 1-month free access to do your own research on classes about anything concerning photography, music, art, marketing, productivity, you name it. There is a class like that on Skillshare. By supporting the people that support my channel, it allows me to create more free content for you guys. So please check out Skillshare, and thank you Skillshare for making this possible. First thing you will notice is the fact that I cropped the bottom off because I was keeping the ratio at 4:5. So this is the crop that we have. But let me just hide all these layers and then we can start from the beginning. So the first folder is called background fix. What I did actually was just bring down, the top part of the sky, because I really wanted to include those in the shot. For me, I felt that is what made the shot dynamic, and I didn't want to lose it after cropping it to 4:5. I just brought that down and masked it in so that it just blends with the rest of the background. I also removed excess fabric from her waist because we just draped this fabric around here, and we couldn't really control it to the fullest, and so I just used Photoshop to get rid of this excess fabric right here, as you can see. And the next thing I did was just to liquefy, add a bit more shape, because again, we're working with a ton of loose fabric. I just wanted to add more definition by doing that. Now the rest of this is just about cleaning up, doing frequency separation, and then some levels of dodging and burning, which I've been doing a lot on the channel. So I'm just going to skip those, and then we'll just talk about the coloring and relighting, which I feel really moves the image to its final look. So the first thing I did actually was just use a hue saturation adjustment, and I just desaturated the canvas backdrop itself, because for me, I felt it was competing with the image, and by doing that, it just reduced the tone, which I love. Afterwards, I just did a little bit of skin matching, and I just created a new blank layer, changed the blend mode to color, reduced the opacity to about 56, and painted all over her skin just so it looks uniform. Afterwards, there's this folder called exposure adjustment. If I open that, again, I'm using curves primarily just to add a bit more mood to the image. So the first one is just a darkened curve, and I maxed it onto my background so it doesn't affect my subject at all. If I just press Alt and click on that, you can see this is the mask. So anywhere that is black is not going to be affected, anywhere that is white is going to be affected. So the white you can see was all over our backdrop except our subject, so it means that the curves adjustment is only affecting our backdrop. Afterwards, I went into my workflow actions, that is it right here, and I looked for relighting, and then I just clicked on that to create a relighting folder. And you can see it just helps pull focus onto my subject. I'm always using this relighting action in situations where the lighting isn't really flattering or doesn't really add depth to the image. I'm always using this relighting action to pull focus to where I want my viewers' attention to go. Afterwards, I went in to do a bit of color work. This includes a lot of individual layers that I created because I really didn't know the mood I wanted for the image, and this just helped give me a sense of direction as to where to push my colors to. So it includes some hue saturation adjustments, where for this I feel I just worked in the master by just desaturating and darkening it down a bit, and then I went into selective color, and this is where I made a lot of adjustments just to give this image a really nice tone, right? Then I also went into brightness contrast. All I did over there was just bring down the contrast and also reduce the brightness a tiny bit. Afterwards, I just felt like this image wasn't popping enough, and so if I just drag these levels out, you see that this is where we started from. You can see that it's really looking dull, there's really nothing going on, but when I start to pull the highlight down, you can see that the image is getting brighter. I thought it was too dull, and so I pulled the levels in a little bit so we can get a little bit of light onto our scene. Afterwards, I created a black and white adjustment, and over here I just set it to multiply and reduce opacity to 19% so we can mute some of the colors in there. Afterwards, I created grain and also another bunch of layers in here. The first one being anti-red, which is also found in my workflow actions. So if you buy my workflow actions, there are actually a lot of actions that you will get. In this case, the anti-red, if I hide everything, what it does is just reduces any redness and warmth in your image to a level that is actually flattering. And you can also again adjust the opacity to your liking. Currently it's at 39%. If I drag it all the way to 100, you can see that the anti-red really sucks out red and yellows from your image. So if you're someone who is struggling with a ton of red and yellows in your image, then the anti-red is going to be one of your best actions ever. I also run my shadow reduction action. What this does is just lift up the shadows a tiny bit because it was getting a little bit too moody for my liking. It's currently at 7%. If I take it all the way to 100, you can see that it's really lifting the shadows, bringing up a ton of information. But for me, this is really strong. Again, I also make these actions quite strong because you have the power to adjust the opacity to your liking. So somewhere around 7% or 9, any which way, you can see that it's just a subtle effect, but it's doing its job. Afterwards, I went into my actions and I ran my noise and film grain actions over here just to add a bit of texture onto the image. I felt that raw smooth digital look wasn't doing it for me. In this case, I wanted a bit of grit in there, and I just went into my actions and then ran those. Afterwards, I just created a darkening curves adjustment and just used my gradient tool to darken the edges of the image so I can still draw more attention onto my subject. Afterwards, I just played a bit with the hue, saturation and levels. Again, I talked about that a little earlier so that I can brighten the image a little bit. But for me, what really did the entire magic to this image was actually my new Phloshop color grading tool. So if you go into my website, if I can just quickly go there, and you'd see this tool, the Phloshop color grading tool, for $15 or $14, actually $14. It is for color grading, for indoor portraits, outdoor portraits, whatever the case may be. This is a tool I feel everyone should have. If you get it, there is a detailed tutorial that shows you all the layers, but I'm just going to run through quickly for you guys to see. But then where the magic happens is actually in this layer called set colors. If I do it before and after, you can see that is where majority of the work is being done at. But again, all these layers are important. For example, if I hide the desat, if I hide the muted colors, if I hide a dynamic boost, you can see that there is a ton of change happening in the image. Again, there is a dedicated tutorial that's going to show you what each layer is doing. This is just for you guys to see, how flexible this Phloshop color grading tool is and how you can use it to fine-tune colors in your images, whether outdoor or indoor. So again, you can copy it, support me, but then again, it is going to be a very useful tool. I am going to be using it a lot in my images. I just wanted to do this quick demo for you guys to see. So this actually brings me to the end of this walkthrough. Again, this is where we started from. You can see it's a flat image. It doesn't really have a ton of depth to it, but after we were able to just enhance the image and make it look a little bit more dramatic, and I like my images to have a bit of drama in there, so this actually suits my style. So yes, if you want to copy the workflow actions, shameless plug, go onto my website. You will find it there, including the new Phloshop color grading tool. When you buy it, you have a detailed tutorial showing you how to use it. And yeah, I'm excited to add one more tool to you guys' arsenal, and I can't wait to see how you guys put that to use as well.